Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
And this is a very interesting episode of Beyond the Black Rims because Josh and I, for the first time, are not in the same room.
Nope, it's a little weird to be honest.
I'm not entirely comfortable, but I think we're gonna be okay. I'm gonna have to mix these two audios together, but it's gonna be fine. It's still gonna be the same old show. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna work. Believe in the show, people. Believe in the show.
Because, there's a lot of things that I think we can talk about as to why things are the way that they are currently.
Well, we'll start with the basics. I am still here in San Antonio, whereas Kaylin, you are not.
Well, it's not that you're still in San Antonio, it's that we were both out here for Anime Expo.
Well, yeah, correct.
And you unfortunately had to go home, whereas I needed to stay here. And
why did you have to stay there, Kaylin?
Well, the reason for that being, I didn't think I could talk about this, thus the reason why I didn't say this the prior episode. But I did, in fact, get chosen as one of the top 3 potential contestants for People's Nerd for King of the Nerds Season 2, which is good news. I am a bit intimidated by the other contestants, but it is good news. And the interview process is in a few days, just here after Anime Expo. So, whereas I originally thought I was going to be getting back on that bus to San Antonio, that did not happen. And now I'm not 100% sure when I will be going back. Either it will be on, the 14th, or it will not.
And that's about as much as you can say about it, correct?
That's really about all I know. I mean, anything else that I could possibly know? Even if I could tell you what it was, I don't know anything. Because, it's production, and either they take me right away, and then I disappear off the internet for, 3 weeks, or I come back home and immediately go back to life as normal, and I assume you guys will figure that out when I'm not updating. Or when I am updating, I don't really know. But the truth of the matter is that yes, before the previous week, 2 weeks, however long ago it was, I already knew, and I thought that I couldn't tell you guys, and I guess the other 2 contestants thought the same thing. So nobody was saying anything, and I didn't know who the other contestants were. The other 2 dudes who won this far along anyway. So I thought I just shouldn't tell you guys, because I thought that what I signed said I couldn't. But then they go, and they're like, hey, these guys won. I'm like, oh, well, I guess they're allowed to know now. Apparently, I'm also in a television commercial.
Yes, that was surprising.
I didn't know that either, until, somebody on Facebook is like, holy crap, I just saw Kaylin on TBS. I'm like, what? Nobody told me this was gonna happen. Granted, I didn't have a problem with it. I was just like, well, I want to see it. So, I guess at this point, all you guys can do is root for me because voting is over, and now I just have to interview better than the other 2 dudes. So, thank you very much for helping me get this far, because I wouldn't have made it this far without other people's help, such as you guys who listen in. Thank you very much for helping out. I do it for you guys. I do it for you guys.
Yes, and of course, I, as well as everybody else who did vote for you, wish you the best of luck on that, and we'll just see what comes of it.
Thank you very much. Here's hoping. Fingers crossed.
So, all that news aside, let's go ahead and talk about tonight's topics.
Right, so, I'm bringing up a topic about, of course we all know that Sailor Moon has had this anime that's gonna be in production, this new reboot anime. Well, also, apparently, there is a brand new stage musical, much like years and years of previous stage musicals they have once done. We'll go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
I'm going to be talking about the casting and, of course, the greenlighting for 2 new sequels to the Ruroni Kenshin movies, and things relating to that.
And together we're going to talk about how Tetsuya Nomura of Square Enix would really hope to have Star Wars and Marvel title characters appear in Kingdom Hearts 3. Is this good? Is this bad? Well, maybe we'll talk about it. I mean, we will talk about it, but maybe they're good. Maybe they're bad, but we will talk about it. There's no maybe
we're
there.
going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it.
That having been said, do we have any other sort of follow-up sort of conversations to have? I mean...
there was one little bit of information that we had on a previous story. As it turns out, distribution company Funimation has gotten the rights to the 009 Re-Cyborg movie that was released over in Japan not too long ago, so yeah, we will be getting the chance to see that stateside.
That's really cool. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I had been hoping. I mean, really, it wasn't that hard of a guess because, you know, it had already been brought over here once by Bandai, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, Cyborg 009 is one of those long-running series. You know, people know about it from its original inception and creation by Shotaro Ishinomori and the few anime that came after that. And now we've got these new movies, so... yeah, as soon as more information is available on, you know, casting and whatnot, we'll be sure to give that to you guys. But, yeah, it looks like we're definitely going to get a chance to see this thing.
Fantastic. And apparently there's some Tatsunoko stuff, I guess, that I just wanted to kind of touch upon that briefly before we moved on to legit news. That Funimation also has picked up? Well, it was Funimation, right?
No, Sentai Filmworks.
Sentai Filmworks, excuse me.
Yes,
I just thought that was worth mentioning, only because these are characters that people didn't previously know, despite their being in a Capcom game in the past, in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, and like fighting game enthusiasts didn't want to touch the thing because they didn't know who these characters were. But it seems like now they'll get an opportunity.
Yes, both of these, I should mention, both of these stories are coming out of Anime News Network. In particular, this one right here, Sentai Filmworks has signed a deal with Tatsunoko Productions to release some of their more widely known anime, like Kashurin, Gatchaman, and some other ones to be announced later over the course of the next year.
I would particularly hope that we would eventually get Yatterman, personally.
Yeah. Personally, yeah.
I think that's one of the sets of characters that people were most confused by in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom.
Well, just because they had no frame of reference for, who are these guys?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And they've never been released in, like, any form legally over here in the States. So, yeah, I'm just thrilled to hear that. I would like to hear that they also license Yatterman. We'll find out sometime in the future. That was just something I wanted to briefly touch upon.
And one of the other, I'd almost say lost characters, because I don't know that anybody picked it up after Pioneer at the time, and then Geneon had the rights to, was the series Soul Taker, which also was a Tatsunoko production. And that was a character that a lot of people were arguing, hey, how come they, you know, Soul Taker didn't make it into the game? Well, as you can see, there was a larger roster of other more popular characters, but hey...
oh, it's a licensing nightmare, too.
Exactly, so who knows, maybe somebody will... this will mean specifically Sentai Filmworks will re-release that 13-episode series.
Would that also mean Nurse Witch Komugi-chan would come with it?
More than likely, yes, since Nurse Witch Komugi was a spin-off from Soul Taker.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
But yeah, I'm hoping for that. I mean, granted, I already collected the series back when it came out, but, you know, more people knowing about Soul Taker would be nice.
More people knowing about Yatterman would be nice, too.
Just in general, more awareness about Tatsunoko.
That, too. I guess with that having been said, we can actually talk about the stories that we were saying we were going to talk about. Again, coming out of Anime News Network, as I mentioned earlier, we have photographs now of the cast that's going to be in this new Sailor Moon stage musical. It's apparently called La Reconquista, if I'm reading that correctly. I don't know.
I believe that's correct.
I don't know. I don't Spanish. I'm assuming that's Spanish, or maybe...
I'm surprised that the Japanese Spanish.
Reconquista, yeah, that's what it is. They look the core 5 of them look great. They
Honestly,
really
I think
do.
this is the best that they've ever looked in live action.
It's like they took the anime costumes and they only added little things to make it more stage flashy, of course. And I can recall, like, the much older stage musicals. Their skirts were so Lolita big and poofy, and the hair was made of, like, yarn.
Those wigs. Those insufferable wigs.
Terrible, terrible wigs. This has been... How many years has it been since the last stage musical? Has it been 8 years, did I read?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like 8 years since the last stage musical, which is kind of crazy. I didn't... For a while, I thought they were never going to stop, and then just...
And then they stopped.
Nothing. What's kind of interesting is that, actually, this is an all-female revival, kind of along the lines of Takarazuka, in fact, involving some previous Takarazuka actresses. Takarazuka, of course, being a stage group that is an all-female cast. They've done all kinds of really unique stage productions. Rose of Versailles, that popular Phoenix Wright set of musicals that they've done. For some reason, Copacabana and Casablanca are just a small handful of the works that they've produced for stage. So this will be really interesting because we do also have a photo of Tuxedo Mask, and this is quite a pretty tuxedo mask. There's like nothing masculine about this person.
Well, it could be argued that Mamoru is supposed to be pretty on some level.
I don't know. I think a lot of girls that I went to school with at the time that Sailor Moon was regularly airing were like, "Oh man, Tuxedo Mask is so hot." And this was like before a whole lot of girls that I knew eventually moved on to say, "Boys who look like girls are so hot." I don't think Mamoru ever looked like a woman. That's my personal opinion.
At least you argue for attractiveness, though. There are still fangirls of Tuxedo Mask to this day.
Oh, of course. There's still, like, aging women who think that Tuxedo Mask is very attractive for, being a fictional, hand-drawn character.
Yes. Well, because he's very much evocative of that whole knight in shining armor sort of thing you would want to impose on a guy, except this is the guy.
Yeah,
right
or
here.
In this case, the woman. I'd be really interested in seeing exactly... apparently the story is, and I quote this, like, one-sentence description of what this La Reconquista thing is. The story will be a new recounting of the battles between the Sailor Senshi and the Dark Kingdom that seeks the Silver Crystal. Apparently the subtitle of the new production is La Reconquista, the name of the new movement to reclaim the Iberian Peninsula from Islamic invaders during the 14th and 15th centuries. Not sure why they chose that.
Yeah, what does that have to do with the Moon Kingdom?
Maybe they're... The Dark Kingdom? Maybe the Dark Kingdom is trying again to get the Silver Crystal? Like, maybe it expects you to be like, "Oh, we already know who these characters are, and oh, they're doing the same old thing they've always been doing." Trying to find
That's the thing you gotta be careful with when you're dealing with any sort of reboot. That was the problem that Superman Returns had, is that it assumed that the audience already was highly familiar with the source material. Now, that's not to say that people won't be familiar with Sailor Moon. I'm just saying that's kind of a risky gamble.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Actually, it's kind of interesting. I'm looking through this cast listing. The photo for the woman playing Tuxedo Mask in the Tuxedo Mask costume, that particular photo looks very, very feminine and very pretty. Then I scroll down and I look at just her nice, dressy,
Her headshot.
Her headshot. Very strong jaw. I totally don't even see that jaw in her photo as Tuxedo Mask. So I'm a little confused. They look like two entirely different people.
You're saying they should have used less makeup on her?
No, like, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying I don't see where the jaw went.
Well, admittedly, in the Tuxedo Mask picture here on this page, the lighting right there on her chin is very harsh. So it's kind of hard to make that out.
I suppose so. Like, I seriously, like, I'm saying that's actually, props to costumes and makeup and everything. She looks like a completely different person. On top of that, this is kind of interesting that, you've got 16 and 17-year-olds playing, Sailor Moon, Sailor Mercury, Sailor Mars. Then suddenly you've got a 22-year-old and a 21-year-old playing Jupiter and Venus.
Now, actually, you mentioned Jupiter. Jupiter's being played by Yu Takahashi, who some people might recognize as one of the female leads from Kamen Rider Kiva. And actually, in that series, she did a very good job in the role she was cast in as one of the Fangire hunters. Great actress. I believe that was her first role. It's just she was one of the characters that suffered halfway through of, they didn't give her too much to do after the halfway mark.
Mm-hmm.
But, I had been wondering for years, she did a really good job in this. I wonder what else she's going to do. And now here we are a few years later, and she's got this other very large headlining role.
It's just really interesting because now she is 22 years old, and she's playing a middle school student, among other people who are, at least mid-high school students, It's kind of a big age difference, but if she can pull off being a middle school student, then by all means, let her do it.
Well, to the contrary, actually, when she was in Kiva, she was playing a character much older than herself by at least about, I want to say 6 to 7 years, and she was only 18 at the time, and 17, 18 at the time, and I was aghast when I found out, whoa, you are not that young. There is no way you were that young. And then I checked, and she played very mature, so now she's having to play a little younger, and that just shows range.
I suppose that's true. And either natural beauty or makeup does wonders. And the outfit.
And the outfit.
Putting somebody in a sailor school uniform sort of reduces your age, usually.
And for what it's worth, a notable thing from the action scenes that she did was two things that I think go well with her being Jupiter. Is one, she does have legs for days, and Jupiter was always, in my mind, the tallest of the Senshi, so that works. And two, she actually has a very nice singing voice.
Oh, that's good. Considering this is a musical, that sounds pretty important.
Oh, yes. She's a very, if I may say, a very lovely alto voice.
I'm just wondering, did we hear anything again about, I know they were talking about the delay of the Sailor Moon anime, the reboot anime.
It was pushed back to, I believe, next year.
Okay,
either the end of this year or next year.
We haven't heard any news since being told about that push back, have we?
Not anything more than that we're waiting for another announcement.
Uh-huh.
Which may or may not come within the next month or two.
Okay, well, here's hoping, because obviously Toei and Naoko Takeuchi care very much about the title Sailor Moon, and they want it to stay alive in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, they wouldn't be doing the musical and releasing all these fig arts.
Yes. That's a thing, too, that correlates with all this. It all goes together. The new anime, now we've got the new musical, and then fig arts just showed the prototype for the Mars and Mercury figures to come out very soon. So yeah, they're getting ready to do a overhaul of Sailor Moon-ness over the next couple of months.
Obviously, they want it to stay alive, so God, I hope they don't just end up pushing and pushing and pushing back this anime until it just drops.
Well, because you think about it, this sort of thing kind of needs to happen, because what ended up happening with Sailor Moon is that it has become a thing of, to a certain extent, nostalgia, in that the show hasn't been on TV for a very long time. You see the shirts and a few other accessories that say Hot Topic or things like that.
Like, it
But it's
almost
hard
makes
to
you
get.
it almost makes you forget that it's even been gone, because people still talk about it, you still see imagery of it, and honestly, I'm not lying when I say I almost believe it never left, cuz it's just such a staple that despite the fact that it's been gone, it's like the culture knows only a couple. Like, even if you're outside the anime fandom, it's like, what do you know anime for? Oh, you know it for either Pokemon or Sailor Moon.
That actually reminds me, when I was first getting into anime in general, back in high school, there weren't very many anime fans, much less otaku, and I wouldn't find any for several years. But when I was when I was a sophomore, I was kind of ostracized for liking anime, and the only thing that anybody knew, like you say, was Sailor Moon. So when we were all in a carpool to go to the movies, and it's like, oh, you're gonna like Charlie's Angels. It's got a lot of girls in it in a team, like Sailor Moon. And I was like, shut up, guys. And then somehow everybody in the car, and it was like 5, 6 other people that we were all carpooling together, all broke into the Sailor Moon theme song and was singing it at me jabbingly, but somehow they all knew the words.
Yeah, so who's the bigger fool there, if they
Yeah.
don't know the words?
Yeah, me for liking it, or you guys for all knowing the words.
So that tells me that they were watching it and potentially even liking it and not saying anything, if you ask me.
Right, but that just goes to show you that it has permeated the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you need to keep something like this alive because it has become very much a staple. And for it to become an even bigger staple, you have to retell the story and make sure...
Well, for it to reach an entirely new generation,
exactly,
yeah, you need to
exactly.
do it again.
And I actually have only seen very little of any of the earlier musicals. I remember that there's that one song between Mamoru and Usagi. What's it called? Gondola of My Love or something like that?
Oh, yeah, Gondola of Love, I think. That song has been reused 2 or 3 times over the course of previous Sailor Moon musicals. I really, really like it, actually.
Now, there's no mention in this whether or not they're going to reuse older songs. Maybe they'll bring that one back.
Maybe. They've reused a number of previous songs from previous musicals. I'd like to hear revamped versions, because, man, some of those older songs, oh, so early 90s.
Yes, very... do I want to say poppy?
Well, yeah, 90s
poppy?
Well, especially 90s J poppy.
Yeah. Very, very happy. But yeah, I'll hope they'll give it a better flavor this time around. Maybe something that's a little easier on the ears. I mean,
Well,
that's not to
at
say I don't like the song, just something that's a little better orchestrated.
Well, come on, at the time, that sounded really friggin' cool.
At the time, but times have changed.
Yeah, and in another, 15 years, whatever they come up with now is gonna sound really bad.
Well, see, here's the thing I'm wondering about. Since I'm a fan of, I act, I do theater, I've helped with stage productions. One thing I've never seen them really do in a Sailor Moon musical is something that I see done in not just, toku stage shows, but in actual magician stage shows, magic acts, what have you, is transformation. What if they could start incorporating a way to let these actresses transform on stage? I remember there's this very famous cosplay skit walk-on of a girl transforming with stage ninjas into Sailor Moon, and they made that look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just here in America on assuming a budget, whereas this is a full-on production. I would like to see something of equal or larger caliber done.
Oh, of course.
Because I'm all about the transformation.
Of course you are. Sparkly nudity and all. You would be, I'm sure.
It's not nudity if they didn't show the nipples.
Alright.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I think that was my story, too. I think I'm
Okay.
done.
All right, well, I'll go ahead with my story here. Just this past week, an announcement was made regarding two more films to follow up to the very successful Ruroni Kenshin live-action movie. They will both cover the Kyoto arc, dealing with Kenshin's fight against Makoto Shishio, which spanned a good portion of the manga and the anime. And they have casted Death Note's Tetsuya Fujiwara. People would know him as the guy who played Light in those movies, as Shishio. And they're currently casting for other characters like Aoshi Shinomori, one of my personal favorites. And yeah, these will be more than likely shot back-to-back and then released, actually very, in the grand scheme of things, very soon, next summer. And I am very, very happy with this. I've mentioned before that Japan doesn't nearly have the same problems as America does with adaptation. I was lucky enough to at least catch a couple of clips of the Kenshin movie. I'm still waiting for Warner Brothers to get their heads out of their butts and do wide distribution in America. But, well, I'll get to that in a second. But really, from what I saw of this movie, it very much captures the spirit of this manga, this anime, precisely. It's like these characters have jumped off the page. We had Takeru Sato, who will be reprising his role in the two new movies as Himura Kenshin, and he absolutely breathed life into this character, down to the little idiosyncrasies of the oro and the speech patterns, being able to play the very nice, calm wanderer, but still being able to harken back to the hardened assassin Batosai. He was able to play this wide range of both anger and pacifist so well, and just the rest of that cast, Sano, Megumi, Yahiko, just absolutely perfect casting, and I don't doubt for a second that Fujiwara here will do an amazing job with Shishio, seeing as he did an amazing job playing Light in those two movies.
I'm a little surprised that nobody has licensed this friggin' movie over here, because, I mean, come on, it's still, like, we latched onto it good and hard when it was released over here initially. And it's obviously a very Japanese story with some basis in a realistic historical Japan in the 1800s, but of course, just based in legend and then gotten way out of hand to go and tell its own story, so then it becomes this fantasy. But then,
but even then, the movie did such a good job with it, though.
But what I'm saying is somehow it has crossed cultures, and America loved it. And like I said, they latched onto it and were like, man, this guy is so cool. He carries this reverse sword. And then this other guy, he carries like a really big sword. And he's all brash and stuff. And then there's this chick.
Oh yeah, Sano is freaking awesome.
And then there's this chick and she's got boobs. And then there's this other chick and she's pretty more modest about her boobs. And then there's this little boy and he's just kind of annoying. But the whole cast as a whole is cool. And then there's this police officer guy, and then there's this guy who's wrapped in bandages, and he can, like, light his swords on fire with his skin, and then, so people were like, man, this is a cool story, and these are cool characters, so why is nobody licensing this movie?
Well, two things on that. One, yeah, Kenshin, you'd be surprised how many people still know about him, because, again, like you say, this is a very for the Japanese, culturally relevant story. It captures that the Meiji period and all that was going around then very well.
There were a number of people at Anime Expo this very past weekend cosplaying as Kenshin himself.
Yes, and part of that is because, we've had two, as far as I know, yes, actually, Sentai Filmworks released the most recent retellings of the Kyoto arc over here. So Kenshin is still going strong over here in America. And thankfully, I just came across this before we started doing the recording tonight. For anybody in the Dallas area, and hopefully we get this out with enough time, and maybe we'll provide a link for this in the comment section. The Asian Film Festival of Dallas for 2013 will have a showing of Kenshin, 2 showings of Kenshin. One this Thursday, July 11th at 7:30, and July 18th, which is also a Thursday, at 9:30 p.m.
That's an awesome opportunity. You guys go see that so you can go see it legally.
Yes, and I will say this is an awesome film festival. Last year, I found out too late again. Maybe this year I'll make the trip up there, but last year they actually were the only place anywhere close by that was having any sort of screening of Ace Attorney the movie.
Why has that not been licensed?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. It makes these tours around, like, film festivals here and there, and that's about it, when I don't see why they can't at least do digital distribution for these movies, which in both cases are awesome.
Capcom themselves was like, hey, in all of our subtitles, we will use the official North American names, despite the fact that you're obviously not hearing those North American names of people and places and things when you're listening to the audio, but we actually really like what North America did with our title. We like it so much that Takarazuka, that all-ladies group that I was just talking about in the news article before this, we liked it so much that we used all the American names in our stage production in Japan. Like, if there's such a good partnership with the Americans, why does America not have this movie?
And if America doesn't understand partnerships, one thing they do understand is money. In its run over in Japan for the year when it came out, Kenshin, Ruroni Kenshin, was the highest grossing film in Japan. Highest grossing.
That's pretty hardcore. Why would nobody think to make money with this movie?
And that is saying a lot, considering their film industry, while good, isn't nearly as big as ours. So for it to be the #1 box office draw in Japan, that's saying something. And it has gotten, as far as I can tell, across the board, it has gotten nothing but praise in its portrayal. Even the Nobuhiro Watsuki, who created the manga, praised the movie, saying Takeru Sato did an awesome job. Everyone else was perfectly casted. Why else do you think it got greenlit for 2 more movies?
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
How often do you hear the author of the original work praising the adaptation? How often does that happen anymore? Without having to say, well, they compromised this or they compromised that. I mean, granted, the movie has to make 1 or 2 small conveniences made for the sake of time, but still they managed to get so much right. And that makes me proud that there's even the chance to see this over here in America at this film festival.
So you're gonna go, right?
I'm going to do my darndest to make it out there. My brother, more so than myself, is the large Kenshin fan. He bought the Japanese manga of the why can't I remember the name? The Jinshu arc, introducing the character of Enishi and all that, and I don't even know if they'll ever get to showing that on screen. He bought, back during the height of Kenshin popularity over here, he went on eBay and bought the Sakabato, the reverse-bladed sword. And I don't know that he still has it. I think he might have gotten rid of it. But he was proud to have it, and he is proud to be a Kenshin fan, as am I. Because very much, in the time that I saw Kenshin, both Kenshin and, as far as characters go, Kenshin and, say, Vash the Stampede, who both have that non-violent approach to conflict, but they can still, kick butt if they need to. That's refreshing.
I don't think there's been a character like that in years. Not one that you could really latch on to. They don't make characters like that anymore.
No, because everybody's got to be an anti-hero. Oh, he's got to be dark and brooding, or there's got to be something evil about him. Whereas here, Kenshin fully accepts, yes, I have done horrible things. I have killed countless people, but no more. I will defend with this sword. This sword, he even says as much in the trailer, this sword is the proof of my resolve to not kill anymore, but to still do what's right. And that is an absolutely stand-up character that people can get behind, and obviously they did because the numbers speak for themselves. The manga still sells, the DVDs and the Blu-rays still sell. 2 more movies, come on people. Kenshin is a thing. can we get some wider distribution over here?
Maybe they're waiting for all 3 movies to be released on home video release, and then maybe then they'll license it here and then, like, release it as a movie trilogy?
I'm just saying, Sentai Filmworks, you just did the Kyoto arc animated. They're about to do the Kyoto arc live action. Get on this. Talk to Warner Brothers, because see, maybe that's part of it, is that this movie was made in conjunction with Warner Brothers.
Oh no, well, see, why didn't you say that before? Because Warner Brothers is a bunch of Scrooges.
Yeah, but even so, like, even a Scrooge wants more money. I mean, that's the whole point of a Scrooge.
Yeah, but the thing is, too, that, like, the anime industry is only 2% of America's entertainment industry, and, like, why would Warner Brothers necessarily, like, unless it's Batman, because they've done that, they've dealt with Batman anime before, why would they...
Well, let's put that into perspective here. You say, unless it's Batman. Batman was also released in 2012 over there, and Kenshin outgrossed The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, but this is an American character released in America. And also Japan really likes American titles too, because let's face it, it's as you have told me before, our country's biggest export is entertainment. Everybody knows our entertainment. It does not work the other way around. And like Bollywood, it doesn't matter how many movies Bollywood pumps out a year, because I believe they make more movies than Hollywood does. But people don't know Bollywood movies. There's like this little bitty audience for Bollywood, and I bet you it's probably bigger than the audience for anime. Although I've never seen a Bollywood convention as big as Anime Expo. In fact, I don't even know if Bollywood conventions exist, though I would be willing to bet that they do. All I'm saying is that why would Warner Brothers be like, oh, we're going to try and, pitch this Kenshin movie to people. We're going to try and put out all this promotional stuff for this movie and hope that people buy it. And yeah, people will buy it, but it's previous fans of Kenshin. Otherwise, like, people don't know what this guy is. Americans in general are otherworldly stupid. Like, if it doesn't relate to their general streets that they live on, then they don't know what's going on with the world around them as far as history is concerned, or why this is relevant in any way, shape, or form, because it's not relevant to them.
Well, to counteract that, this movie was showed at the Busan Film Festival over here in, I believe, Los Angeles, and even then, a critic from The Hollywood Reporter, one of an American production over here, said that the choreography was fast and furious. The sword fights very clearly showcase Batosei's incredible skills. It's an incredible score. It's even getting praised by critics over here.
Yeah, because that was at a film festival in Hollywood, where films go.
Yeah, but they could at least do an art house run. There's plenty of art house theaters across the country that could at least show them there.
Well, they're getting 2 showings up in Dallas next week and the week after that. Is that not what you're looking for? I bet you it's touring after that.
I could only hope. I don't know that for certain, but I could only hope that other people have the chance to see this movie, because otherwise, I honestly believe you're missing out on a great piece of cinema here.
Okay.
I believe in the movie that much.
I'm sure you do. It sounds absolutely amazing, because, see, I haven't seen it yet. But, so that's all I can pitch in.
Yes, so, just to round that up in Dallas, do a search for the Asian Film Festival of Dallas. Anybody who has a chance this Thursday, July 11th or July 18th, if you're in the area, please take the opportunity, go see this movie, go support Ruroni Kenshin.
Okay, I won't be there, because I can't be, but you go to it there.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
So, for our last story,
Oh, you want me to read about this? Is that what's going on?
Well, I can't tell who's angrier after a certain point about this.
Well, I don't know if I'm, like, angry.
Well, I'm not going to say I didn't see this coming. I won't say that.
Well, like we mentioned at the top of the hour, getting this news story from JE Fusion, the title of the story being Creator Nomura hopes to add Star Wars, Marvel, in Kingdom Hearts III. Just, wow. How about the Disney afternoon? Can I just start with that?
Yes!
Can I just start with where's the Disney afternoon?
Where... You're with me on this 100%. Where on earth is Darkwing?
That's all I've been waiting for.
Where's Darkwing Duck? Where's Darkwing Duck World? Can we team up with Sora to beat up Beetroot? Can we do this?
You mean Bushroot?
Bushroot, that's what I meant.
Or Tuskernini.
Or Tuskernini, or Metalbeak.
It's Steelbeak.
Steelbeak. Or
wow,
Negaduck.
You've never watched Darkwing, have you?
How dare... It's just been a while, but I know who I'm talking about. Negaduck. Alright, Negaduck.
And not Megavolt? Come on.
Well, you always liked Megavolt. Megavolt was always your favorite character.
That's because he's the greatest character. Aside maybe from Negaduck. But he's great.
Okay. But
to elaborate on this story, I'm sorry. That needed to come out right now. To elaborate, though, it's not saying that there will be Star Wars and or Marvel characters within this universe.
That's not a confirmation.
It's just that Tetsuya Nomura, as well as Final Fantasy developer Yoshinori Kitase, have both said, we like Star Wars, and we're not saying that we have it, we're just saying we really want it. Like, as soon as Star Wars became a Disney thing, we were like, oh my god. Like, that's me paraphrasing, but that's what's being said here. So, they are pursuing it. They're saying, hey, Disney, let's sit down and talk about these licenses. But what they are saying is, we're gonna prepare some surprises for you, so just wait for the information. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if there's gonna be, like, just some cameo from somebody from one of these two titles. Like, would it be cool if there was one character from either one of those universes? Would you be cool with any particular character? If so, which one?
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, I had said this before. I off the top of my head, I can't remember if I said this in show, but there was this fake screenshot of Sora and Goofy running along a field, and alongside them was Wolverine.
Well, yeah, that was very, very fake because that was put into Team Fortress 2.
Yeah, Team Fortress 2 background, but that's not to say I wasn't afraid that they might do that. Because, okay, it's one thing that we're crossing over one set of franchises with, these Kingdom Hearts characters, which are specifically Disney. But I think that's part of the charm, is that it's just Disney.
Well, and Final Fantasy occasionally. Like, when I first read a magazine article about what Kingdom Hearts was, right, I was like, what is this witchcraft with these two things? Like, your chocolate and my peanut butter and my peanut butter and your chocolate. Like, this is weird. How is this even gonna work? And then, like, it was kind of cool because they stylized the two things to kind of look like one another. Like, it was okay. And then, but then it's like, if you start putting in too much into the pot, then it's just weird.
Then
right?
You just get... Think about it here. If you add too many to the pot, what will distinguish... Aside from basic gameplay, what will distinguish Kingdom Hearts 3 from Disney Infinity?
That's a good point. Like, as it was, I was all confused with, like, live-action stuff being thrown into Kingdom Hearts 2. That was weird to me. I mean, there was animated stuff in Kingdom Hearts 1, that was fine. Oh, here's some more animated stuff in Kingdom Hearts 2. That's also fine. Do we need Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, see, then you're starting to branch out from what makes it what it is. Like, oh, well, Pirates of the Caribbean, that was a level. I hope not. Let's have the Lone Ranger level. with...
Oh, why? So that we can have Johnny Depp in Kingdom Hearts twice? I mean, it wasn't actually Johnny Depp, but they were obviously character models that looked like Johnny Depp.
Yeah, so we can have Jack Sparrow in Kingdom Hearts twice, because we all know Tonto is just Jack Sparrow with a crow on his head.
With face paint.
Yeah, and then we'll have, what, Sora in a black mask and a cowboy hat? Is that how that's gonna work?
Like, some of the... It sounds cool in theory, but the more I sit here and I think about it, I'm just like, you're putting in too much, and it doesn't look like anything else anymore. Because they went to Pirates of the Caribbean world or whatever, and it was like super realistic at that point. And it was like, oh, this lighthearted Disney / Final Fantasy looking character has now wandered up to literally Johnny Depp. And I'm like, these two things do not go together.
Now, see, the thing that makes it hard to think about isn't so much the moral aspect, because I can almost understand the Marvel aspect, because they could just very easily pull from their pool of, voice actors to voice these characters of, say, Spider-Man or Wolverine or any of the other Avengers, things like that. But then when you get into Star Wars territory, that's a whole nother bag of worms there, a can of worms, because then you have to think about, do we have to deal with a Han Solo that isn't Harrison Ford's voice?
No, thank you.
Is that not going to be Carrie Fisher as Leia? Is that not going to be friggin' Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker?
You don't think Mark Hamill would voice Mark Hamill? At least Mark Hamill does voice acting.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, does this have anything to do with the contract? Like, this just came to me right now. Does this have anything to do with the contracts they've signed for this new movie now that Star Wars and Disney are a thing?
Wait, what are you talking about? What contract other than the contract to be in the next trilogy?
Well, because think about it. Being in the next trilogy, that lends to, well, they have to make games for the next trilogy, which means there more than likely is the option that you would have to voice your character for these games. Does that parlay over to Kingdom Hearts 3 if this is to be a thing?
I don't know. You don't think that they're too big to waste their time on also video game stuff?
Well, I look at, say, the most recent Star Trek game that came out. That had full voice casting from the movie cast.
I don't know. I just think that Harrison Ford is too big a name to do it. I don't think Mark Hamill is, because Mark Hamill began to thrive as a voice actor. And Carrie Fisher... Well,
has done voices for Family Guy.
Well, she just kind of does whatever. I mean...
But she has done voice acting.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, because she needed the money. I'm just saying... I don't think...
So you're saying because she needed the money so she wouldn't take the job?
Okay, like, let me further elaborate, though.
Alright, go ahead.
I think that, if they, like, pull from, say, Trilogy 3, okay, episodes 7, 8, and 9, I don't think that the story is going to be about Luke, Leia, and Han, though it will have them in it. Therefore, I think if they start to introduce Star Wars characters into Kingdom Hearts, they will not use those three characters. I bet you they use whoever the main characters end up being in the new trilogy.
I guess I see where you're coming from with that, because...
Either that, or they go into, like, Clone Wars universe, and those guys are still producing Clone Wars, and still voice acting for Clone Wars, and it's already CG, and so you just plop this already pre-rendered CG model into Kingdom Hearts 3.
That makes it almost too easy.
I know, and don't you think they would do it? Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, because it's a money saver.
I know, right?
Oh, no.
I just came up with that just now. Isn't that awful?
Yeah, that's awful.
What have I done? Now that I've said it, they're gonna do it.
Oh,
no.
I don't want Breakfast Garage in my potions.
Breakfast Garage.
Potion!
Unibeam!
Does that mean Sora's gonna learn Unibeam?
Oh, no!
No, think about it. Then Sora...
No.
He'll have to collect all these Avengers-themed Keyblades.
No, oh, no. But no, wait. Like, you always have to build the gummy ships in Kingdom Hearts, right? What if you have to build friggin' starships or the Millennium Falcon?
Out of gummies?
Out of gummy. You have to spend money to buy the gummies to build the Millennium Falcon.
Understand what we're talking about here. Because all this stuff is starting to mix, are we or are we not seeing that we might see the fulfillment of Patton Oswalt's Parks and Recreation filibuster in game form?
Oh, no!
Think about what we're talking about here. This might be that.
So then the Millennium Falcon... So then wait, Boba Fett comes in and he's shooting at... How did he phrase it?
The Avengers Quinjet or the X-Men's jet. The Blackbird.
So wait, so the Quinjet, and it's got like Iron Man and Captain America in it, and Sora's
Spider-Man
and Sora's driving it, but then suddenly Boba Fett comes up from behind, and you like have to dodge Boba Fett as you travel from one Disney/Marvel/Star Wars universe to the other, and oh my god.
And then you get all of Organization 13, but they're like bounty hunters now.
Oh no!
And then you get oh my god, I'm seeing all of this come into my head, and it's horrible.
And then all the different kind of Heartless, they're up against Hydra, because they're disposable too.
But then here comes why can't I remember Sora's friend's name?
What,
not Roxas.
Riku?
Yeah, and then Riku, he's, for no reason whatsoever, leading the Ewoks.
oh, Jesus.
With his soft, fuzzy Ewoks Keyblade. And they're fighting off Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's got a spiderweb Keyblade, and then Iron Man, he's got an arc reactor Keyblade.
Oh no, they would all have to have Keyblades because everybody in Kingdom Hearts has to have a Keyblade now. This is awful. What are you doing? Stop! Oh, I think we need to stop.
Okay, that's a great place to stop.
Is
it a good idea? So, bottom line
is I think there's probably a way to execute it well. I'm just so concerned that both Disney and Square Enix have their problems lately, and I don't necessarily think that they would execute it well. That's the one thing I'm concerned about. I think it could be done well. That doesn't mean I think they will do it well.
I'm saying, right now, Sora, Lightning, Boba Fett, Wolverine, 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Right here, I'm saying it. The 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse riding in on gummy horses and wielding Keyblades. That's what I'm saying to you right here, right now.
Oh, I want to stop now.
Okay, we can stop.
Oh,
we can stop.
You can do the closing.
Okay, well, Kaylin recovers. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and listening to us for this, what we're going to go ahead and call our first season of Beyond the Black Rims at our next convenience, whenever that is, whether it be a month
or something.
Within a month or something, we'll let you guys know when we're coming back with new episodes. Until then, you can, I guess, read her old tweets on Twitter at MarsGirlProd, and you can read my infrequent tweets at JoshKnight1st.
Oh, and that's all. Alright, thanks for listening, you guys, and again, I'm Kaylin, Mars Girl.
And I'm Josh Knight the First.
Alright, thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next season.
Alright, see you then.
Oh, gummies.